And I gave you the name
sorry,
of
what?
Yeah. Remember I Facebooked you and I gave the name of Yasmin Anderson?
All right, guys. Sorry to interrupt. I know that you were chatting back and forth. I'm just starting the recording. It is this is Module 4. So this is going to be Trevor Crane flying solo again for hosting today's module. And to give everybody a heads up, welcome to the call, Terry. By the way, sorry about that.
Thank you. No, okay.
We won't have any new handouts for today. If you go to importantfreewebinar.com, you'll get the most recent ones. We went over it last week on handout for number 3, and also we're going to, I sent you another PDF on freeconferencing.com where there's some instructions. So we're going to go over that material today. And before we get started here, or before we start into content, I'd like to hear some feedback. Amy, you had mentioned that you had a pretty positive experience doing some of the homework. So let's hear some celebrations about what you've implemented or learned or benefited since we spoke last.
Well, first of all, I absolutely antagonized over what I was going to put in this, elevator pitch, this, meet and greet pitch. And, I put it up last week, and I was out on Monday. And I was with a woman who I'd networked with, and I was just talking to this adorable, waitress. She asked what I did. I used it, just a little bit, and I set up a meeting with her on Wednesday to talk about the Arbonne opportunity.
Oh, great!
So I was really happy about that. So I'm meeting her tomorrow, and then yesterday, the first Monday of the month, we have monthly training meetings, and my VP, goes around and periodically asks some of her managers to do what's called a Discover Arbonne, which is an overview of the of the business. And she called me yesterday afternoon and said, you've done it before. She's like, you're really good at it. Would you do it? And I changed it. She asked me to change it up in that she needed me to focus it on somebody, because there was a woman in the room who was a lawyer. I'm a lawyer. I don't practice. She wasn't practicing. So, I changed it a little bit using, the questions before I started, and just the fact that just being on these calls for the last 3 weeks, I don't know what has changed, but when I was finished, it took me half the time, and I really didn't use any notes. And, basically everybody in the room was like, you usually do a really good Discover Arbonne, but this is the best you've ever done. So I just wanted to thank you for, whatever it is that you're, instilling in us, we're taking it away from these calls. It's starting to, permeate who we are.
Very cool. Congratulations. That's awesome.
So thank you.
You're welcome. That's awesome. Congratulations. And so if I understand you correctly, your first part of your celebration was that you were kind of stressed out about what would go in this elevator pitch, but you figured it out. You made some decisions. You decided, well, I can just try something, and I can always make it better later. I'm throwing that in there. I know you didn't say that, but something to that effect. And then you went out and actually used it. I'm sorry?
Yes, exactly. That's what you said. You said you can always make it better later.
And you went out and you used it with a new person who you just met, and then you set up an appointment to share with them. You actually made the sale, so to speak, where you piqued their curiosity enough to say, I want more, which is all that we're talking about. I mean, whether or not this person ever chooses to work with you or makes you $1 million or $1 doesn't matter. That's not the goal. The goal is to create enough curiosity to have them go, whoa, I want more. And that worked for you. That was the first part. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Okay, hot. Very good. Congratulations. And then it sounds like, the biggest feedback I've been getting lately on the virtual, in our virtual boot camps, and we're teaching one right now. This is ICAP, obviously, but we had one going on Monday nights for sales mastery. And I think the biggest feedback I've been receiving from this regular connection of teaching something and then people applying it and then coming back to implement it, and then we get some more information, has been the shift in psychology. Like this is, and the good thing about that, and I don't know if that's for everybody on the call, but that's what I've experienced in communicating with most of you, is that their true secret sauce or the magic, so to speak, is really, it's 80% psychology and only 20% strategy. And so granted, what you say is important, or we wouldn't be spending the time on it, but a lot of this is just a shift of, when you've been to the mountaintop and you've already seen it, it's no big deal. I like to tell stories when you're in sales or in persuasion, which is actually what we're doing in ICAP. We're trying to attract. That's persuasion and influence. We're trying to attract someone. I like to give an example of the Sherpa trying to take people to the top of the mountain. And the guy that's been doing it, or the gal who's been leading people to the top of the mountain for the last 24 years, isn't stressed out about it. He's not trying to convince anybody about it. He's just going up the hill, just like he always does, and he's taking people along with him. Now, the newbies that are coming along with feel totally confident because the Sherpa that they're following is like already been there. They've seen it. It's like, here's let's go. And there's just a whole different energy around that when you have that conviction, which is what we call it, versus confidence. Like confidence is awesome, but that's the little engine that could, trying to get up the mountain. I think I can. I know it's going to happen. It's great and it's exciting, but there's a difference when it's the wise old sage. It's like already been to the top of the mountain. Like, what? It just is what it is. Come on with me. And it has a whole different level and feel. So I don't know what part of that actually you were able to embrace, Amy, but that's an example I've used in the past that I feel is like the difference of that congruent feeling about what you're talking about is just much more interesting, much more compelling, creates much more curiosity, and it sounds like that's like just overall how you feel when you were presenting. Does that feel right to you, or am I off the mark?
No, it definitely feels right. I was at a networking breakfast last week, and just out of that breakfast, I ran to one of my speakers from Big, and I met two other people, and out of that, I made one appointment. One person wants to meet with me to talk about his product, and the third person, who was one of my speakers, said to me, there's something different about you, just the way you talk about your business. And she was just like, she was like, I was really impressed. So, that was just like that was before I wrote the elevator speech.
Well, congratulations. You don't necessarily have to pinpoint it. I know that you shared in your email, though, that you also shared more vulnerability than you had in the past, which you thought I know that was one of the challenges when we first talked that you thought you might have, is, you knew you needed to embrace more of your vulnerability, and that had power, that was more authentic. And it sounded like you did a little bit more of that in your presentation. Is that also part of it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So now I'm scared to death, by the way, just so you know.
Now you are?
Now I'm scared to death.
Why?
I left my meeting, and it's totally, it's ridiculous. So I left my meeting yesterday, and I was talking to a friend of mine because we always kind of talk to each other on the way home. She's like, you were amazing. You were on your way. You da-da-da-da. And I hung up, and I'm like, oh, my God, this is awesome. And I woke up this morning, and I'm like, crap. Every time this happens, I'm like, I do something to completely derail myself. So another goal is that I don't derail myself, and I keep going. And I don't have those, oh, my God, can I? What do I even do? So feel free to beat the crap out of me because I think I'm going to need it.
Well, here's the cool thing. I had a private coaching call with Sandy, who's on the line today, and she had shared, like she made a phrase. She said something very similar to what you just said, Amy, and it had to do about predicting the future as though it was going to be like the past. And it's a statement that she made, like you just made, that almost it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. And you just said something to the effect of, every time I have a success like this, I do something to mess it up, or something to that effect. Right. So what I offered Sandy and what I'll offer you, and I think we've mentioned on these calls, is the opportunity and the challenge to just change that tense a little bit and start talking about it like it's been in the past. Even if you just made the mistake, you know what? and you recognize it. You're like, oh, I was panicked because in the past I used to blah, 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 whatever that stuff was, instead of saying it in the present tense where you go out and create it again. And it tells that little girl inside of you, I have a little boy inside of me, I don't think there's a little girl, but it tells that little person inside of you that it like tells them what to anticipate. Like for a little kid, for example, you don't want to tell them what to be scared of, because now it just makes them, think about it. Like, okay, don't be scared of that dog. What's the first thing they think? Oh, my goodness, I need to be scared of that dog. Like, why not? Why shouldn't I be? Well, of course I'm scared of that dog. Instead, you say, why don't you go pet the nice doggy? Or like, aren't all doggies nice? Or something like that if you believe that all dogs are nice. But it's just, we've got to remember there's that little person inside of us that will start seeing things to help sabotage ourselves and run old patterns. So it's a conscious decision to start retraining your unconscious mind. It's a very unconscious, hypnotic, neurolinguistic strategy to talk about that stuff as though it's in the past, and you start to create your new future, your new reality based on what you want versus the way that it used to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, you just literally, you totally you let it go and look to the future. And I don't know if you're into the whole secret universe thing, but with Arbonne, when you get to the first VP level, you get a white Mercedes. And I have been seeing more freaking white Mercedes on the road in the last few days than normal.
Brilliant. And you know what it is, whether you think of it as however you described it or whatever, I'll give you another term and another piece of terminology. It's your reticular activating system. When you start to focus on something, like say a new car, for example, you start to focus on that. You start to see it more often. And there's a lot of examples of that we could go ahead and give. I think we all recognize the pattern, though. So here's what I want to do for today is, Amy, I want to thank you for your share, because I think it is great as far as your celebration. And hopefully everybody listening right now, whether you're live or recorded, you can take this time and you've been experiencing your own celebration, because I don't want to have today's call be everybody's share, or we're going to take up too much time to just celebrate. So make sure that you do that for yourself. So take just a minute if you haven't done so already, just a second actually, 5 seconds, to just feel good about your progress, even if you've been having challenges, because that's part of the process. If you don't feel like you've been getting much lately, that's fine. That's still part of it. It's part of the journey. We're not here for 1 week. We're here for 6 or 7. I think we had a bonus week. So we have a lot of time that we get to spend together to see progress. So wherever you are in your journey, just feel good about it. And I saw somebody I was watching a YouTube thing today, and I saw Tony Robbins on Dr. Oz or something, and he was doing something. And what I realized when he started to engage the audience, one of the coolest things when you get to work a lot with Tony is he talks about how motion creates emotion. And when we're talking right now, and on the calls, I'm leading often, or Robin's leading, and Amy, you and I were talking, and as you and I are talking, we are more engaged probably than everybody else on the call. Because if you're just sitting there listening, you're probably sitting, some of you have background noise, you're probably cooking dinner in the background or driving, or maybe you're sitting in front of your computer. But what I'd ask you to do before we get started is to stand up and shake your body out, just move it a little bit, bounce up and down so that you can have a lot of energy. Because on Dr. Oz, I saw Tony Robbins get everybody cheering and feeling like they're in a great state. And quite frankly, all of you showed up to this call. You've been listening in a little bit. I'm probably in the highest state because I'm the one yelling, screaming, laughing, making fun of myself, and I can't sit still. So I'm walking around my house, because when I'm talking, it's like my butt hits the seat and I can't think. So I have to move and groove. So everybody move and groove just a little bit. Take some deep breaths, so that you're in a better state. It gives you better clarity of mind, and you'll enjoy the rest of our call. And with that, one more deep breath and let it out. I'm ready to rock and roll. Okay, so before we go into content, and this is going to be very brief, I want to know if there's any burning challenges, because I want to know if there's anything that's been holding anyone back, because our calls have turned into, and I think this is a great, we're going to cover a lot of content today, but it's also a little bit of Q&A about what your challenges may be. Now, if there's nothing burning and it's just this random, if it's just little stuff, we can talk about it later. You can Facebook this so that we can go ahead and touch on it. But is there something burning? Share it now. This is your chance. Briefly, brief.
I have a question.
Yes.
This is Terry.
Hi, Terry.
I had the elevator speech, which worked really well, and then we had more of the script that you're explaining about your business and not the traditional elevator pitch. And when is it that we use one versus the other? Because when you have a little bit more time, because it's a little bit more wordy?
Great question. So again, like we're talking about ICAP, and ICAP has to do with Ideal Client Attraction Program. That's what it stands for. And that's basically marketing. We're in leads now. Like when I think I've mentioned this to you before, that we break a business down into 3 simple areas: leads, sales, and fulfillment. And most people should spend a significant more time on leads and sales, like 80% of their time in leads and sales and 20% of their energy and effort in fulfillment. Fulfillment's awesome, but it's not where we should be spending most of our time, especially when we're in a marketing program like this. Now, what is marketing and what is Ideal Client Attraction Program, and what's the purpose of this elevator pitch? It's really just to create that curiosity and get them interested. It's anything you do. Marketing is basically anything you do to get a client. It's anything and everything you do to get a new client. So in the context of when do you use what parts of the scripts that we're getting, I'm going to refer more to the sales part of Sales Mastery of our other program, which is understanding the stages of your sale. And so we talk about it, the stages of the sale when we do Sales Mastery, as being each point of communication is a step on your path to like where you want to go, ultimately getting a new client or making a new sale, something like that, or a new business partner. So if in the context of you're meeting somebody for the first time, that stage of the sale is to say just enough to go ahead and move them to the next step, which might be, like, let's say, get their phone number and set an appointment. So in my opinion, less is more and brevity is power. So that would be a really good one to write down. Less is more and brevity is power. And I don't know if you've ever heard the phrase like, I'm sorry I wrote you such a long letter or email. I didn't have time to write a short one.
Yes.
Yes.
So oftentimes when we don't know what to say, we just kind of blah, 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 blah. And it's fine to communicate a lot if it's necessary, but the truth is brevity is power, and the more succinctly you can say something, the better. And as soon as you've made the sale, and in this case, let's say it's getting someone's phone number and, from the elevator pitch, they're like, yeah, I would like to stay in touch with you. You're like, great, let me get your number. Well, as soon as you get that done, get out. Stop speaking. The only thing that's left is for you to lose the sale, where you now can just hurt because you have accomplished something major. You move them to the next step. Now, that's not always the case, and sometimes you go from step to step to step. But if you're meeting somebody in general, you're only going to get them 1 or 2 steps if you're meeting someone. It's rare that they're going to say, I'm so interested, I've got total time, go ahead and tell me everything, I will buy from you. It does happen, but it's rare. And you really have to have a lot of time, be in a lot of rapport. So when do you use the bigger pitch? You just want it available to you. I went to I've done a lot of work on PR and promotion lately, and I've taken a couple of classes recently. I was just in Las Vegas. I just took a one-day program yesterday from a friend of mine who's really good at PR, and we worked on our bios. And when we're working on improving our bios, we have a 1-line bio, a 4-line bio, and then a 1-page bio. And it just depends on when it's appropriate to use each. If you're sending a press release, sometimes you want the 1-line, sometimes you want the 4-line, sometimes you want the whole thing. So it's not a specific answer because it depends on the context, actually what stage of the sale you're in. Does that partially answer your question?
It does, and I feel like if I'm in a networking event and I'm using my little elevator pitch, when it comes time for me to do my other spiel, I usually have something different because I feel like they've already heard the other one, but maybe sometimes it's good for them to hear it a second time so it sinks in. I don't know.
Again, it's going to probably depend. So you're going to have to, here's the next thing then is, I think I've mentioned this before, write this down if you haven't already. This is not in our notes, by the way. This is just other stuff. And that it is the measure of communication is about how it's received, not how cool it sounds coming out of your mouth. So it's really important to pay attention and measure the results you're getting. You know, if you don't get the results you want, but it sounded really good coming out of your mouth, it still doesn't matter. So you just got to pay attention. And what you're also going to find, and this is going to completely mess with you guys, is that I can hear somebody with some background noise. By the way, I'm not monitoring it to see who. Thank you. You stopped it. What was I going to say about the measure of communication?
Well, for instance, I went to the networking event, and I had 3 ladies interested in booking their free fashion checkup with me. So obviously that worked.
Fabulous. So you just want to measure your results. So, I know what I was going to say. What messes with you is if you say something one time and it works great and you get a great result, you might expect that to happen the second time. And if it doesn't happen the second time, it totally throws you for a loop. It's like saying, I don't know if you've ever told a joke and everybody laughed and you thought, wow, I've got a golden joke. I'm always going to use this when it's joke telling time and people are going to think I'm hilarious. And then you go to throw out that joke another time and nobody laughs. And you're like, what? But that's the same joke. But like it just lands differently. And it's the same thing with your pitches and your stuff. It's just weird. That's why you have to master it. It's not about, and sometimes actually making a mistake and not doing it right at the beginning is actually better than like having an immediate success where you're almost lucky, you know, because you want to do it strategically. But hopefully that answers your question. Is there anything else that's burning that we can't address on Facebook? Because let's be specific today. Is there anything else that's burning that needs to be addressed?
How do you keep yourself from not being, like, I guess the question is, you don't want to come out perfect all the time, or do you want to come out perfect all the time? I mean, I don't want to sit and memorize this thing. I want to have like a gist of what I need to say so it sounds conversational. Or do you practice it and practice it and practice it?
Yeah, you practice it and practice it. You want to practice it so much that it becomes conversational. You make it your own. At first it's awkward. And then when you see a good actor on TV, they seem, or on a movie, you're like, oh my God, they became the character, you know, and the words and the language becomes part of who you are. So your business, this is another writer downer. Your business is not about who you are and what you've done. Your business is about who you are becoming. And so, you know, the truth is what you say today will probably not be the same thing that you say 2-3 months from now, because you'll have evolved and you'll say it differently. It'll feel different, and you'll constantly make it your own. And like right now, if you're looking at the computer, ladies, you're going to see the ultimate sales formula. Like high Y, try buy, guaranteed and bonuses are basically like the paint in your palette, and you just get to use those things whenever you think it's appropriate. And but you've only got so much stuff that you can communicate, so you got to be simple. You got to keep it. Use the structure and the script until you get to forget it, you know, and then you don't even think about it anymore. It's like driving right now. All of you guys drive, and you probably put on your makeup, make phone calls, and yell at the kids all at the same time. You don't even think about it anymore. So it's the same thing. Anything else? Okay, we're going to rock and roll. We've got a great thank you for the shares and the challenges. We're going to go ahead and we're going to move into what we skipped off on last time, which had to do with branding and getting your message out there. And these were some ways. We talked about it last time. If you're looking at the screen, you can use your branding on your books, your Facebook, your if you have CDs and DVDs, your business card, definitely on your giveaway. Like, what is it that can be your free report or free product offer that can be your giveaway? By the way, we're on page 8 right now, moving on to page 9. And I gave you some photo examples of, it's nice, you can take these with your iPhone, or you take them professional, whatever you want, to have a variety of photos that you can use as images. If you don't have them already, go out and do them. Don't make any excuses, just get them done. And this gave you some examples. Now, I'm giving you some pretty cool stuff right here. And I want to be authentic with everyone that I saw this originally like 5 or 6 years ago, 5 years ago maybe. A friend of mine gave me these basic poses and said I could use them. And I said, wow, that's great. I'm going to do that. And it was great information. And I left it in the manual. It sat in the book, and I didn't do it. And I knew it was easy, but I didn't do it. And then I recently got a whole bunch of, I've been traveling, and when I moved to New Jersey, I didn't get all my stuff that was in storage, basically. And when I finally got it again, I opened up this manual, and I saw all these photos, for example, and I realized I still hadn't taken them and used it. So here's the thing, is if this is really good information, it's only going to be valuable for you if you use it. So it's your own little action plan. If you don't have photos like this immediately available to you, you're missing out, because they can be used everywhere. And put it on your action step, get photos taken. It does not mean you need to have a professional photographer. You can do it yourself, or have your husband, wife, next door neighbor, friend hook you up. And these give you the poses that you can copy, model, whatever. Because then when they're at your fingertips, you can actually use them. And this is about client attraction. So what we're going to talk about now is a little bit of you in the box. My friend likes to say, if they only knew you, they would buy from you. And this is one of the tools you could use. Robin and I teach like a branding box weekend. We actually have people over, and we take these photos for you. We then help you customize this box, the image that goes on the disc, what goes on the outside of it, the verbiage, everything. And so we actually walk you through what audio to make, what video to do, everything, so that you're just done and you have your own product. And oftentimes people freak out about writing books and creating CD products and stuff like that. And I've been doing a lot of stuff on PR lately and publicity, and a lot of people talk, like everybody wants to write a book. And I don't know if anybody on our call today has a book, but I'll give you a perspective that I hadn't heard before, but I think is very true these days, is that a book is kind of like your expensive business card. It establishes credibility. And this little you in the box is the same thing. See, when you've written a book, like I've heard tons of stories where people go in and let's say they're not in makeup or something, and they go to the hotel to check in, and they're not in makeup, and the person kind of treats them, how you doing, ma'am? How can I help you? And then they get them a room, but don't treat them like really special. And then they find out later when the person comes down and is all dialed up, or somebody goes, do you know that that's the author of such and such a book? And it doesn't matter what the book is. It doesn't mean that they ever have to heard of it. It could have been a self-published book. And the next time they see the person, they're like, oh, I didn't know you were an author. And it creates this desire and demand where somebody now, like it's just credibility, instant credibility. So what I'm sharing with you here with this you in the box is this intention of your client attraction program is to plaster your face and your story everywhere you can. And what I'm going to talk to you about today are how you can capture more testimonials, how you can create your own you in the box very easily, very inexpensively, and it can help position you in the marketplace differently. And I'll share with you a strategy today that you can use and take advantage of and knock it out of the park, or you can modify it to how you're going to use it for your business. I don't care what business you're in, and some of you may be saying you can design this a heck of a lot better than me, and you are right. And that's as you see, design here. This is a blank box, but this allows you to turn on someone's visual, auditory, and kinesthetic senses if you handed somebody a product and said, listen to this. and I'm going to talk to you more about what I mean by that as we move on. So here's what we're basically going to do, and today I'm going to talk to you about remember we're just going over the last pieces of content from this section so that you can partner with one another and you can master a new skill, a skill of interviewing one another. I'm going to challenge you to create a product. Now, whether or not you put it in the box or you put it as a free download on your website or you put it on a free hotline that you can make available so someone can call in and hear this little interview with you, basically being the expert. And basically, if you didn't know this already about marketing these days, marketing is much more these days, that's what we're talking about, an ideal client attraction program, is how do you communicate and market yourself to your ideal client. It's much less about, let me see, here's an example. Imagine if you open up a newspaper, for those of you who still see newspapers or whatever, and you saw in there it's a company selling hot tubs. And it said, hot tubs, hot tubs, hot tubs. We've got the best hot tubs. Come here to buy the hot tub. Like, that is the old way of marketing. The new way of marketing has much more to do with your expertise. So if you're not considered an expert yet in your niche, in your market, then people just aren't paying attention. See, I was just talking about Dr. Oz on TV, right? And I didn't see him on TV, I saw him on YouTube. But and then I was talking about Tony Robbins. They are experts in their niche, and a whole bunch of people show up and listen to them. And then when they say, hey, do this or do that, everybody listens because they are the expert and they have advice. And they are basically giving their expert advice, and that is a value add. And their audiences plug in to say, hey, let me get some of that expert advice you've got. Let's face it, that's what I'm doing with you right now, is I'm trying to give you some of my expert advice. And you have your own expertise and advice and your own unique things, and I want to pull it out of you in this little 7 to 9 minute max sound bites where you're going to basically do an interview with one another. So we'll partner you up before we're done with this call. Your homework is basically going to be to interview one another, and I'm going to give you the technology that's free, so that you can do it, access it, and use it anywhere you want. Now, before I move on, is anybody excited about this? And hopefully you are. Hopefully somebody's going like, this is really cool. Anybody?
Yep.
I think that was
I'm on mute, so that's why it takes me a while to respond. But yeah,
me too.
Excited.
Yeah,
okay,
not so
cool.
much.
Oh, I heard a not so much. Who was that?
That was Amy.
Amy. Oh, and not so much. Okay, so what's going on with your not so much?
I'm not really sure if I have enough to give.
You're not really sure if you have enough to give.
Yeah, in an interview. I mean, if I'm looking at this the way I think it is, I'm not sure I'm looking at it the right way.
Okay. Well, good. So I'm not going to answer that just yet, but just if you've got any reservations, by the way, jot them down. Whatever your concerns are right now, jot them down. Let's say you don't want to be interviewed, you're scared of blah, 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 or you don't know if it's relevant to you, or you don't think you've got enough to add or something like that. You're going to see that this process is really simple, and it helps pull out who you are. And it's going to be a little commercial for you, but it's gonna embrace, if you're done right, and I think you guys will do it right because it's going to be really easy. I walk you through this. It'll embrace your authenticity and vulnerability, and that's what people want to see, is who you really are. There's all these TV shows out there these days, and I don't even get TV anymore, but they're all like these reality shows. It shows real people doing real stuff, and that's what people want to see. They don't want to see perfect and polished because they just think BS. What they want to know is who you are, and that speaks much more than anything else. And when they hear your heart, and just with a nice little candid conversation and interview, they're going to love you. And you're going to get to choose whether or not, and you might do it and then go, I don't like that, and you can redo it. That's totally cool. But I'm going to teach you how, so that not only can you use it for you, not this just one time, but you're going to use it in the future. You can always make it better later. You can teach it to someone else because it's really simple. I'm giving you the template right here. Okay?
Great. Okay. Yep.
All right. So let's go through this real quickly. I'm going to give you the guidance first. We're just going to go through this page by page. So again, I think I'm on page number 9. No, excuse me, I'm on page 11. So this is basically the interview Q&A. So here's your guidance when you're being spoken to. So one of you is going to be the interviewer, and one of you is going to be the interviewee. One of you will be the expert. And what you're going to do is number one, you want to keep this brief. It's 7 to 9 minutes long max. And let's think of this is only going to be an audio. We're not doing this video. I'm going to teach you how you can just do this on audio. Obviously, you could do it on your smartphone. Probably has a good enough camera that you can do this. I do that all the time. I shoot video on that. It's no big deal. But for right now, for this exercise, we're going to do it as an audio, and I'm going to give you some examples of that today on the call as well. So you're going to speak in sound bites that are short and concise. You're going to make a statement and then pause and wait for the next question. Remember that when you're speaking, oftentimes there's power in the pause. So the interviewer, make sure that you're listening, and you listen and wait for that pause before you start speaking again so you don't speak over. Imagine the person you're interviewing is someone like I met Sir Richard Branson last week, and if I was talking to him and I asked him a couple of questions, when I ask a question, I'm going to listen. I'm going to shut up and listen to the man speak. So you want to treat the person you're interviewing the same way. Okay. When you make a mistake, number 2, when you make a statement, think about only one thing. When somebody asks you a question and you start answering that question, I'm going to give you the questions today, and you can customize them a little bit as well. You want to think about, in answering it, what's in it for your audience. So you want to stop talking about yourself and start talking about what's important to your audience. And we initially started off about your massive transformational value. Didn't we do that on these calls? Mm-hmm. I think call number 1, we talked about what's the result that you deliver for your client. So what's that massive transformational value? All the questions that you answered, think of it in terms of how it's going to be heard. That's what you want to think of. Number 3 is take a deep breath and relax. I put my hand over my heart, and I get myself really relaxed and in state. I usually bounce around a little bit before I do it, and then I just relax. And you want to talk to someone like they're your pizza-eating buddies, like you just want to relax. Be conversational. Don't present and like, hi, my name is. You don't want to be a radio announcer jackass. You want to just relax and speak in mild, truthful, honest, connect from the heart. Those are the basic guidance from it, and you're basically going to be asked questions in 6 different segments. We're going to go over that in a second. WIIFM that's that radio station that everybody's listening to. What's in it for me? So we're going to talk about that. Those will be the first section of questions. The second round of questions, Amy, this is really perfect. Think about this for you, because you were saying, I don't know if I've got enough value to add, right? Or whatever your stuff was. So this first part is what's in it for the people that are listening. Like, what's the benefit of your product or service? Now, that has nothing to do with you, but it does have everything to do with your massive transformational value. So you get to talk about that when they ask you a question. Nothing to do with you. Then they're going to ask about your background or expertise, which all of you have this amazing background and expertise, and now you just get to highlight something that would be relevant to them. Whatever credibility you've got, you want to throw it in here. And you mention it briefly, and you're not a braggart here because you've been asked. It's a really cool, elegant way to tell somebody about how cool you are. Okay, pretty cool. Next is social proof and credibility. Again, this is, you're going to be able to prepare this. And your homework, I'm going to give you exactly what to go prepare so you know what it is. And then you can talk about it, and you seem all modest and humble when you're doing it. But the truth is, if you go appear on TV, radio, you name it, this is how they do it, guys. They go ahead, and oftentimes the person being interviewed will hand the interviewer the questions. They go ahead and say, here, ask me these things so that I know what to say. And then they'll go, when they answer, they're like, well, gosh, Bob, that's a great question. I'm really surprised you asked that. And then they answer it. Now, that's not always the case. I'm sure there are some impromptu interviews, but for the most part, people are prepared, and you will be too. Next thing is that their person's going to ask you about what there is that you give away that's free. What's your invite to action? Like when you first start working with someone or the person who's listening to this, what is it that you're going to give away? And by the way, you should be thinking about some of these things, and if you haven't done this already, start jotting a couple of things down, get some ideas, just take some notes about what incentive to action. Because if somebody listens to this call or they listen to this recording on your website, or if you had the courage to put it into a disk and hand it to another human being, and I'm going to teach you how to do that before we're all done, and you said, hey, they ask you about what you do, and you say, hey, would you listen to this? And you can sell this product, by the way. You can put a dollar value on it, or you can just hand it out, and it's this little interview that someone did about you and your business and the value that you add. Would you like to hear it? When they say yes, you go, cool. They're listening to it, and you want them to call to action. You want them to call you up. What is it that you're going to give away that's going to be cool? It's also, the next section is going to be about your long-range plans or your vision so that people can buy into the future of what you're creating. Also, your guarantee. So they're going to ask you if you offer any kind of guarantees. And then lastly, the interviewer is going to also help you with this, is give a final call to action, a reminder about what that is. So, hey, guys, if you're done listening to this, then please call Amy up and ask for a strategy session or whatever the offer is, and she'll tell you more about X, Y, Z. So those are the basic segments, and we're going to get on to the next part about recording. But let me see if there's any questions about that, because that was a lot of me talk. So anybody have any questions about this so far?
You're going to have us do this live now?
No, I won't. Where I'm going to share with you how to do it. Your homework is going to be to partner with one another and do this with one another and get it done.
Okay, because I wanted a little more prep time to get answers to these questions.
Yeah, thank you for that. No, now I'm going to give you some homework around that so you don't analyze this and make it really hard. When we do this in our weekend, we had a 3-day CAP program here at my house with about a dozen people, and we did it in the moment. Like we just basically said, okay, everybody take 20, 30 minutes now, and it was like 20 minutes, write out the answers, boom, done, go do it. And we had some people do it right then. We had others some homework to do it over lunch, and we had a couple people come back and say, we didn't do it, I kind of freaked out. And so we took a break. We had them go out into their cars, and one of them went to my back porch, and one of them went into their car. They got the interview done in 10 minutes. They just started it, and it was brilliant. And when we played it for everyone, it made us cry because it was just amazing what came out. So I'm going to share with you how to do it quickly so this isn't a 1-week project where you guys will never get it done. You can always make it better later. Okay?
Yep.
Any other questions? By the way, my friend actually charges $40,000 to give you what I'm giving you right now. He does a little bit more work for somebody, but he will do it for them and basically hold their hand and be the interviewer with them. He charges $40,000. And this, by the way, is his formula. This you in the box is not something to just poo-poo. I don't care. I know a lot of you have better skills and design skills and all this other stuff that you can do for things. I get it. But this you in the box strategy has made people millions and millions of dollars. Because it only will work if you work it. And I'm going to give you the details for that as we move on. Okay, so real quickly, let me share with you what you're going to need. And who here has heard of freeconferencing.com? Is everybody here is anybody not know how to set up a free conferencing line? Does anybody not know how to and not done that before?
I've not done it, but your instructions look pretty simple. This is Robin.
Okay, Robin, then if I may, can I use you as a guinea pig here? Because I want to make sure that we leave no stone unturned. And I want to share my screen, and we're going to do it for you right now. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay, cool. Hold on 1 second. I need to pick something on my screen, so I share my screen. All right, you should be able to see my website, right? That I'm online. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
I think I'm the only
Is that
one that can't
Athena?
see your screen.
Yes.
Hi, Athena.
Hello.
Nice to have you here. I'm sorry, who made the comment about my screen?
Oh yeah, I've not been able to see any of your screens.
Yeah,
You're not
I was
able
just
to.
listening, Trevor, and it's downloading now. For some reason, even though you're using the same software each week, it makes you re-download it every single time.
I don't know.
Yeah, I had
Mine originally asked for a password, but I've got the module in front of me. I've been using that.
Okay, so is there anybody that is looking at my screen?
Yes.
Okay, and then Robin, you are basically logging on to try to do that now.
It says it's downloading it, yeah.
Okay, cool. So all I'm doing is if you are looking at the screen or not, I'm going to freeconferencing.com. And all you got to do is click. There's a button right there that says "Get Free Service." Robin, are you with me yet, or it's not up yet?
Not yet. Okay, now you're up.
Okay, so I'm going to do this for you, which is why you're my guinea pig, because I want to make sure nobody has technical difficulties. So
Okay.
you click that button for free right there, and let me go ahead and enter your information. So it's Robin. What's your last name, Robin?
Dan, D-A-N-N.
And what email would you like to use for your account?
R-M. D-A-N-N. At studiogweb.com.
Okay, and do you have a password? You can always change it later, although I can't imagine anybody here cares
just
to
put
know your
ICAP
password.
in there.
Perfect, ICAP. So now I entered that in. I'm going to sign up right here.
Mm-hmm.
It'll create your account, Robin, and it's basically going to shoot you an email. It'll also shoot you a download, and so here you go. Your account confirmation was emailed to rmdann@studiogweb.com.
Okay.
And then if you click right here, you can see the instructions on how you set up a conference call, and you can use Skype and blah, blah, blah. And this is all of your information. So this is your new, for example, account confirmation email successfully sent. So you were just sent the conference call information. So this is your host access code, the 645150, your participant access code, and I'm using the same company actually runs Start Meeting. I use the same one. It was just I don't have a huge webinars right now. This was the best fit for me. I mean, the technology seemed relatively easy, although all of these webinar-ish technologies are a pain in the butt, I think, personally. But you're set to go. And you can see the conference view, history of recordings. It logs all of your recordings. I'm giving you guys this because this is important. This is part of the making sure you don't get caught up on all the techie stuff. When you log on, you see your dial-in number. You can click this button here, and you can email. You can copy this to clipboard, and you can email somebody, hey, join my conference. It's really, really cool. You can turn the conference on right here. You can turn it. You can record right here. And the cool thing is you don't have to do it with the computer. You can do it all with with prompts on your telephone. So if you want to just use the voice prompts, you can, to press a button, you can do that as well. It's really cool. I'm going to go ahead and turn your recording off and check this out. I'm going to go into History and Recordings, and if you see it, the recording is right here. And by the way, this is a value add that I usually give my clients when I'm meeting with them and speaking with them. If you do any kind of consulting, any kind of advice giving, you guys probably all know this if you've had a private call with me, I record our calls.
Yep.
And when I'm so super techie awesome and I'm like, hey, I'll send you a recording of that. This is what I do. I click this button right here where it says recorded, It'll play the call right here, which I don't need to do because we didn't record anything because this is the screen version. I can download it right here, or I can click this button that says share the recording. I pick how long I want it to last. I can have it last to whenever. I can display the names of who was there. I can allow download or not. I can write in a description of a test. I generate the URL. I copy it. I now send it. Sandy, I do this with you all the time, and I send you the call.
Yep.
Bada bing, bada boom. It's done, and you are now a freaking tech genius when it comes to recording your calls and sending them to people or using them for testimonials, and that's what we're going to use this for. This is where you're going to capture testimonials, and we're also going to talk about the interview, and you're going to be able to use this system. Now, quite frankly, I don't care what system you use. This is just a nice free one that keeps this information on here, I think, for 6 months, and you can search by date. It's absolutely awesome, and you can change any of your information if you just click over here into My Account. So, Robin, if you don't want that ICAP password, change it to something else. Okay. Any questions about that?
One quick question. Just in regard to the software, does it limit you to just a conference of just 2 people, or could you have more people on this? I mean, is this what you use for us now?
You have you can put 1,000 people on this line.
Okay, thank
you. For free.
Okay.
You got it. So this can be your new hotline. I have like 4 or 5 of these because I use them for different things. Now, by the way, when you go back here, I'm going to go ahead and log in. I'm going to show you one more feature that's pretty cool. I'm also going to link the phone call because if you look back at, let's go ahead and look at this. This is the recording information. This is the technical stuff that you guys might have been like, oh, God, I don't know how I'm going to do that. And by the way, today's call is going to be every bit of 90 minutes because I'm looking at the time. This is not an hour call. This is a 90-minute call today to make sure we finish this stuff. Is that cool with everyone?
Yeah.
Yes. I have a question.
Yes.
If you're doing testimonials, is there a way to save it, like download it so you don't lose it after the time frame? Because you said
yes, there is. Yes, there is, and I'll show you that again in just 1 minute.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, so step number 1 is that you use a free service like freeconferencing.com. So we just signed up Robin for that. Now, you're going to call your hotline and PIN and follow the online instructions. Now, I'm going to do that on my phone, but since you can't see that, I'm going to show you the way it looks online. Then I would 3-way call my person, like you basically will call each other in this case, and you basically, now you can have both of you, like let's say Sandy and Robin, I'm going to partner you guys together. I don't know who's going to partner with one another, but you guys interview each other. You guys could both just call your hotline, and that would be fine. I will tend to, like Sandy, when I call you privately, and then I say, hold on a second, Sandy, let me call my recorded line. I call the recorded line. I press star. I enter my code. I enter *9 to start a recording, and then I hit 1 and I'm in. And I'll give you the instructions. That's why I gave you guys the download. But then I connect and 3-way the calls, and I'm good to go. And I'll give you one more heads up on this. When you first start recording, I highly recommend that you like time and date stamp it. You say, what's the purpose of the call, and you date it. You're like, hey, this is such and such a date. I'm talking to such and such about such and such, and I'll show you what I mean here in a second. So let's get into this nitty-gritty stuff. This is exciting stuff. So when you go to freeconferencing.com, this is the page you're going to see, and after you've already logged on and you've created a service, you're going to go to host login. If you do like I did, I put my email and password in here. I told it to remember me on the computer, so all I have to do is hit login. And now I'm basically live on my site. And I want to share with you, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you something. These are all of the recordings. So I think it was Athena. Were you the one that asked about downloading the file so you can keep it forever?
No.
Who was it that asked the question? I'm sorry.
It was me, Terry.
Me, Terry. Thank you, Terry. all these female voices, I'm having a hard time connecting them all. I know that my voice is not all that deep and masculine. But at any rate, you can go ahead and, I think for the last, unless I'm mistaken, unless it's changed, you can actually save calls for 6 months. Let's see, I'll go back to September and do a search here. And yeah, looks like they're only saved for, well, hold on, let's go to page 2. No, you know what? Look, this saved it from September. So from September till present, I've got a ton of dates. So, and I'm going to give you an example for how this will work. Oh, by the way, if you want to download it, you can download it right here. You download it to your computer, and then you have it saved on your computer. It stays online, though, forever, it looks like. I can go on any of these calls, by the way, and I can click here the details. And this call looks like there weren't a lot of details there. But I want to show you something real quickly. And I wish I could show you my phone. I actually have logged this in my phone where it's under speed dial that I've if you want to save this in your smartphone so that it will speed dial and remember your host code, okay? All you do is you save in the phone number. In this case, my number is 712-432-0075. Robin, I logged into my account instead of yours. My host code is 981636, and then I hit pound. And I save that in my phone, and what I do is I put a comma after the 75. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can see that, I put a comma after the 75, and then did it just do that? I put a comma, and then I put 981636 pound, and when I speed dial that, it remembers my code, so I don't have to then remember my code. Now, one heads up is if you're trying to three-way call someone at the same time, like Sandy, when I call you on a three-way call that I'm going to record, and then I call my conference call line, I dial this number, it will forget. It does not work when I just speed dial it. I have to actually at that point enter the code. I hit *9 to record. You might want to enter that because that's really the only instructions you really need. *9 to record. And then it will prompt you to enter, to just press 1 to start the recording and 1 to stop the recording. If you want to get all the details, you're going to look at the download that I gave you. Where are we? On our website, excuse me. The instructions on how to do the calls, the free conferencing touch tone commands. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So here we are. Let me see. Am I logged into mine? Yes, I am. So give me 1 second. I'm going to right now call my hotline, and I'm going to three-way it in so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So hold on 1 second. And by the way, this is what I do when I have a call. If you guys haven't had a private call with me that I've recorded, this is what I do is I'll say, hold on a second, let me record our call with your permission. I like to do that in case we say something cool, and we can have it captured. And almost every time, actually the first time ever someone told me no today, which I thought was incredible, happened today. But at any rate, I called the line, so hold on 1 second. All right, ladies. Well, I am currently recording this call, and today is June 4th, and I'm basically doing a test on how to teach people to use free conferencing for ICAP. And that's what I actually say at the beginning of every one of my calls. Now, by the way, if I would not have started recording, there'd be that silly elevator music that plays till somebody shows up. Mm-hmm. So if you notice on the screen right here, it says that the recording is on. If I turn the recording off, I want you to listen to what's going to happen.
Your conference recording has stopped. This conference is being recorded.
And by the way, if for some reason I spend any time in hell, which I can't imagine I ever will, they're going to be playing that music. It drives me absolutely bonkers.
This is Stacey. I don't understand. If you're using free conference and you're not recording it, there's music playing?
Only if you're the only one on the line. Great question. When you're the first one on the line, then you get the music. So if I had somebody else dial in, if you look here, my caller ID, I have the cell phone I use right now has this is my number, 808-990-3003. That's my phone number, and then it shows the moderator here. And so if anybody else calls in, I get to see their name and number if it shows up, and I get to go ahead and mute them. For example, I can mute myself on this call. It's not going to mute you with me because you guys can still hear me because I'm on a different hotline because I've connected the calls. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Muted.
So I'm going to unmute it. You guys can hear like that little voice prompt. I want to share with you two more things. It is an amazing technology tool. So hopefully you guys aren't bored by this. This is totally awesome. Does anybody already use this and you're bored and you don't, you're like, I already know this stuff?
No, this is cool.
I've just used free conference call, but I've never been on the other side.
Got it.
The good thing is that when you sign up, they send you all the instructions.
Yeah.
And you also sent them to us.
You got it. And you can set all this stuff they've got. You can learn more about this later. It's really but let me just show you a couple of things that are very cool. If you would like to ever share your screen, all you got to do is click this little screen share piece right here. And the instructions will come up. My computer's slow for some reason. I don't know why. But the instructions will come up so you can share your screen. I don't need to do that now, but it's a pretty awesome feature that you could share your screen with someone. There's a couple of different tools I use for that.
What you're using right now?
It is. I'll give you an example. Since you're looking at my screen, this is what I use right now for Start Meeting, which is what I use because we're all in this webinar. I do this because I can record my webinar and screen share. Free conferencing only, where did I put it? Free conferencing only records my audio. It does not record my video, so my screen share. So this is Start Meeting, which is another service you can use. It does cost you a little bit of money. It's not much if you want to use it consistently and record and whatnot. I think they do have a free version as well, so it is a potential option for you, and you can learn how to modify it. Let me show you like my history and recordings, for example, in Start Meeting are all available here. And it's a similar functionality, but it's got a different look and feel to it. So you don't need to know much about that. But let me show you this. This is really cool. Okay, there's something called the Broadcaster. So this is really awesome because I can basically play for you a call that I did today. So it's another really awesome feature. Like let's say that you record one another. Let's use it in the context of this next week. Let's say, Sandy, you and Robin record one another. And you go, hey, that sounded pretty good. Let's see how it came out. You'll basically, let's say, Robin, you're online and this is your account. You go to the Broadcaster. You can see the date that you actually recorded something. And check this out. You'll see me start right here. So today at 2:27 p.m., I recorded Lisa Liebman, and I'm only going to play through the beginning. But listen to this. You're going to be able to hear it. It's awesome. All right, Lisa, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, great. This is June 4th, 2013. This is Trevor and Lisa Liebman. And this is our first strategy session, I believe. So, by the way, that is how I track how I keep that's my organizing principle on keeping track of all of these calls because I record a lot of calls. And I can use them for all kinds of cool stuff. But check this out. This is also really awesome. You can upload files. So you guys may have heard some cool music on one of my webinars or something that I did. And so, for example, it'll start playing now.
Birds flying high. You know how I feel.
Sorry. So it's really awesome that you can do a conference call and you can play music, or you can play something else that you recorded that was really neat. So let's go back to our instructions. I just gave you instructions on how you guys can record testimonial calls or interview one another and have a really high-level, really cool way to a new tool to tell the world about you and all your stuff. And remember, let's go back to this phrase right here, this red under you in the box. It has it. If they only knew you, they would buy from you. Like, honestly, if they got to hear your whole pitch about whatever your stuff is, isn't it true? Like, if you guys could just get in front of people, if they would just shut up and listen and hear the whole thing, that most people would, a lot more people would buy from you. Would everybody agree to that?
Yes.
Like, if they just knew the value that you brought to them, like all the networking events that you went to, but people are so scattered and they don't listen, they don't pay attention, they got so much information overload, you just can't get them hammered down to pay any freaking attention. You know, and even some of you are on my call right now or any other call, and you're like, oh, my God, you know, I'm boring, because I'm boring at different times. You already know that or whatever. You can't pay attention long enough. And because, you know, everybody's different. So we want to help you do in this context is get out some of your best stuff through the interview process. It is fantastic positioning, by the way, because they're going to talk to you like you're an expert. And I'm going to give you all of that right now. So let's go on to page number 13. These are basically the chunks. So this is your homework. And you basically, here's what I want each of you to do. There's 10 questions here, okay? 10 questions here, and those are the chunks I told you about. The top one is WIIFM. What is in it for your clients? What's the benefit to them? These are the questions that you want to answer, but here's also the truth, is you get to pick your interview questions. So if you don't like these questions, change them. What I did is I came up with something that will tell a story, and you'll see the meaning to the madness here in just a little bit. But you can feel free to change them. And what you'll do, in this case, I'm using Robin and Sandy as you guys are partners. I don't know why I came up with that. But, you know, Sandy, you'll write your own questions. And maybe you use these exact ones, or maybe you'll change all of them. I don't care. Whatever you want to do, just don't let perfect get in the way of performance. Just do something, because something is better than nothing. And then you will send them, you'll go, here's my question, Sandy, and then Sandy will interview you. Robin, I don't know how I said that, but whatever, you'll interview each other. So then Sandy or Robin, you'll be reading one another's questions. And then the person answering the questions will be totally prepared because you'll know how to answer. So this is really, really cool. So the first thing that you want to attract their attention with, and interviewer, by the way, I'm going to tell you what to say in the introduction as well, so it's no big deal, but they're basically going to be like, so let's say it's Sandy interviewing Robin. Sandy would say, and by the way, this interview is not about Sandy, it's about Robin. So it's not important for Sandy to introduce herself. Sandy will say something to the effect of, you know, hi, it's my pleasure to be here and be interviewing Robin Dan. Robin Dan is an expert at this and a super duper person at that. She's the owner of XYZ company. And Robin, it's a pleasure to have you here. Can you tell me, you know, when you work with clients, what's the main benefit that they actually receive from your blah, 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 from your service? And you'll say, wow, Sandy, thank you for asking, blah, blah, blah. You know, my clients tend to get result. This is why they hire me, why I'm so cool. And then Sandy's going to go ahead and say, wow, that's incredible. It sounds like that's just someone would be really lucky to work with you, Robin. And then she'd go, tell me, Robin, where did you develop your background and your expertise? It sounds like you might have been doing this for a long time. And you'll say, well, thank you for asking, Sandy. I've been doing this for 104 years. I was brought up and, you know, and I got a PhD in results and blah, blah, blah. Now you answer it. You say, funny, and maybe someone else is going to say, when I was 4 years old, I used to sell rocks. I mean, that was my story, right? So you get to tell your story however you want. And then the next question will be about social proof and so forth and so forth. And then look at question number 5. Question number 5 says, say it to Sandy asking Robin. Sandy will go, you know what, Robin, can you tell me some more about that? And dig in. Get deep and go deep. So we've got social proof and credibility. we've got free incentive or call to action where Sandy would ask Robin something to the effect of, Robin, if somebody's listening to this right now, would you offer to give them something for free or some way that they could sample what you offer, some kind of value add? And you'd say, you know what, of course, Sandy, thank you for asking. And you know what, I would like to give away a blah, 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 blah. And remember, we've talked about this before, that you don't just give away free stuff without valuing it. So you'd say, typically we charge a fortune for this, or $100 for this, or $7 billion for that, or whatever it is. But in this case, we're going to give you a free jingamajanger, our free book if you just call, a free strategy session if you do whatever, a free sample of whatever. And then you're not being this jerk who's trying to sell somebody. Sandy, in this case, is eliciting it from you. Is this cool, by the way? Are you guys excited?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you might be wondering, how the hell am I going to use this? Don't worry about that. Let's just get this amazing interview done first, okay? And we'll figure out the rest later. Anybody concerned about how they're going to use it?
No, we'll figure it out.
I love that attitude. Exactly. Great. You have faith. I'm liking it. All right. So you have your free incentive to action. This is the key. They only get this thing if they take action. So the stage of this sale, when people listen to this recording, whether it's a real live CD, an MP3 you send them, something they download from the internet, whatever it is, a transcription that you can give in an ebook, because this can be an ebook, by the way. You just transcribe it, send it to somebody for, go to Fiverr.com, Fiverr.com, and have somebody transcribe your 10-minute interview, put it into an ebook, slap a logo on the front of it or whatever, and you now have an ebook of somebody interviewing you about your expertise. And you can give away your free ebook or whatever it is. Okay? Pretty cool stuff.
What was
and
it called
what's
again?
the Fiverr? It's the letter 5, and then spell out 5, Fiverr.com. And for $5, you can get somebody to do just about anything. There's a ton of different services you can use. That's a nice one that's only $5. And I think it's $5 for them to transcribe like up to 15 minutes. And there's a ton of different people doing it. Even if they screw it up, you only paid $5. It's a great place to get a logo done, a website done. You can get so much on there. Don't waste too much time on Fiverr because you can search for all kinds of things. It's pretty cool. But here's the key.
Muted.
Can you guys still hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Yeah, fine.
Okay, cool. I want to make sure, because I heard the when you guys press buttons, sometimes it will, or maybe I did it, I don't know, but it'll trigger the mute. Real briefly, though, call to action. The stage of this sale, the purpose of this interview, is to get people to go to the next stage. Like, what is that next thing? And in this case, you want them to act. You want them to reach out, call you, email you, do something, go to your website, whatever it is, and go ahead and connect with you. And I'm going to teach you some other stuff that you can do about that, some pretty cool stuff. Okay, so question 7 are long-range plans. Tell me about what your plans are for what you're going to do and be and create and whatever. What is your guarantee? Again, this is not you vomiting on someone, because Sandy will ask Robin in this case. And then, in this case, like the person asked, is it true that if someone was unhappy for any reason, you would take care of them? And because when I first heard this, a friend of mine was interviewing his dad who used to own a restaurant. Okay? So you customize the questions to what you want them to be. And then the last thing is repeat the call to action. Like you talk about the guarantee and whatnot, and Sandy, you may say, well, that sounds awesome, Robin. Is there anything else you want to say? And feel free to have a little bit of creative license here and just be conversational. But again, this is short and sweet. So if you end up staying on the line for 35 minutes, you've probably gone too long because nobody's going to listen to that. Okay? So this is the example. I'm not going to read this for you because you can read this yourself. It's the examples of the questions and some of the stuff that the interviewer would say. Remember I said, Sandy, if you were interviewing Robin, it would tell you what to say. I'm here with Joe, who's a blank from blank. I know you have a real background in blank. Tell me about blank, blah, blah, blah. And then you just go for it. So here's your homework to be very explicit. you're going to write your own Q&A. Use my sample there. You have 10 questions there as your sample. Write your own, and then you're going to call your buddy, and you guys are going to record each other's. And you're just going to take turns. And I recommend don't let Robin, in this example, record Sandy's on the same conference call line. Don't do that. Sandy, make sure you use your own and you learn how to do it, because I'm trying to teach you to fish so that you have the ability to redo it, because maybe your voices are too much alike and there's not enough contrast. And you're like, gosh, I think it would be nice if I had a man interview me or somebody else, or you can do it again and you can change it up. Remember, you can always make it better later, but to be very clear, the huge challenge here is that everybody records something by next week, and I'm going to make it even better than that. I'm going to suggest you do this in the next 48 hours, because there is no reason to wait. I know that some people won't listen to today's call, if they miss a call, they won't listen to it up until like the last minute. I'm a last minute kind of guy, so I got to give you a deadline to make sure you get it done. I want to help you. So my challenge is that you guys do this in the next 48 hours. Is there anybody who is not willing to do that? Who do we have on the line?
I cannot. I have appointments all day tomorrow and the day after. It's Sandy.
Thank you, Sandy. Let's see if there's anybody else that's in the same boat that cannot do it, because then we'll make you guys partners. Anybody else cannot do it in the next 48 hours?
I'm in the same boat.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name.
This is Terry. I'm in the same boat within the next 48 hours.
Terry and Sandy, then, if you guys can partner up, then you guys can get it done. You can make your own deadline. Are you both willing to get it done before our next call next week?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So we'll have you guys connect and set up a time. Is there anybody else who has a challenge with time, with the 48 hours? Okay, great. Then let me see. We might as well partner right here. Does anybody have a desire to be on with anybody? Like you're already like, oh, it'd be great to interview with somebody or somebody, like Stacy, Amy, Athena.
No, I mean, it would be great to, talk to somebody new. I wouldn't be able to do it until Thursday, though. I can't do it tomorrow, so if somebody wants to do it on Thursday.
Is that Amy?
That was Stacy.
That was Stacy. Oh, gosh. All right. How about that was Stacy. Let me hear, Athena, I rarely hear you on the line. Let me hear your voice real quick. Just say, hi, tell me I'm beautiful or something like that.
What did I miss? Oh my God! I did.
Somebody popped off and popped on again. Athena, can you talk to me?
Yeah. It's Amy.
Hi, Amy.
I lost you. It was dead, and then now I'm back. Can you hear me?
Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. Athena, I'm not hearing you other than your giggles.
Because when I talk, someone else is talking, so you can't hear me.
Okay, I heard you enough. Then, Amy, can you talk for me again? Just say, hi, how are you? I love you.
Hi, how are you? I love you.
All right.
It's not
Stacey,
very convincing, I have to say.
Yeah, that wasn't, but that's okay. Stacy, can you speak for me?
I'd be very happy to speak for you.
Okay, let's do Athena and Stacy, okay? So Athena and Stacy, you guys can be buddies. And then we've got Amy. Who else do we have on the call that I did? Robin.
And Robin.
Didn't I? Oh, and I, do you know what? I thought that I was going to, I had so thought you were already done, Robin, because I kept saying you and Sandy. Okay. How about Amy and Robin?
Okay.
That's fine.
Okay. And feel free, you don't have to only do this once. You can do it again. Again, you guys can, I'm trying to teach you so that this is just an exercise. You don't have to use this if you don't want to, but I would suggest that you do use it and just get it done. Fair enough?
Okay.
Fair enough.
Okay. So now let me go over the last couple of things here. I'm going to give you a simple marketing plan about this. I mentioned that we do this in 90 minutes, so I'm going to just jam. So hold on one second. Robin gave me a suggestion a little bit ago about cleaning up the calls. So I want to make sure I can rip the content here. So I'm going to mute my line. I'm going to, let me see. Where is it? Let me just mute everybody.
Hello?
Hi, it's Stacy. I had to hang up and call back.
I had to too. It's Terry.
Stacy?
You guys there? Hello? Hello?
Oh, I get it.
There. Okay, you're back.
Terry, I'm back. I couldn't hear anything for a long period of time.
Yeah.
You know what I did, ladies? I'm sorry. I made a total faux pas. I muted myself. I was so awesome with this. I keep talking to you, and I thought everybody was listening in, and you guys are bouncing on and off the line. All right. So for the last 3 minutes, I've said the coolest stuff that nobody's heard because I accidentally muted everybody, including myself. So I apologize, everybody. My bad.
Well, you just have to repeat all that clever stuff.
Exactly. And we all kept hanging up and calling back in because we weren't sure.
If you hadn't have done that, I wouldn't have known it. I thought I was, okay, my bad. I thought you guys were crazy. Athena, I see I've still got you on mute. You hung out there. So hold on. Let me just mute everybody so I can finish content. Now we might be late. I apologize. I was trying to rock and roll and I went too fast. Here we go. I'll mute everybody except me this time. Sandy, I'm going to leave you on till last.
Okay.
Can you still hear me, Sandy?
I can.
Okay, cool. So now, Sandy, you're muted. So here we go. This is your marketing plan about how you can use the you in the box. I apologize if I'm repeating myself because I think I felt like I said it 4 times when I was on mute. let's imagine you actually printing these things, okay? I'm talking about this package up here, not just having it on your website, not just having it on a hotline or as a downloadable whatever. It's totally cool to do that, and maybe that's how you're going to choose to use it, but I want to give you an idea of how you can use this out in public, because this is the $1 million tool that my buddy teaches and I'm sharing with you, okay? And I want to share with you how you would go use it. And this is valuable for you so that you know the context that somebody might be listening to this. Okay, so number one, and welcome back to the call. If I had lost you before, that's because I accidentally muted myself and I was speaking to a dead line. And if you guys are watching my screen, you can see that I'm going back and forth on some mute lines. So number one, you want to wrap your package. What that means is dress nicely. So I actually will wear a suit when I go out. I always wear a suit when I'm in a networking environment or I potentially meet clients, and I get treated awesome, by the way. I don't know if I'm the best dresser in the world. We have the fashion doctor on the line and whatnot. She might say that I need some help, but I do get attention when I wear blue and pink and like bright colors, and I wear a well-fitted suit. And people comment all the time that I'm dressed nicely. And I love it, not to because it's part of my positioning. And so people come up and they ask me the question, what do I do? And I don't care if I'm renting a car, going on an airplane. The other day I was being nice to the lunch lady and she bought my lunch. She said, you look great. Are you speaking at this conference? And I said, no. And she's like, well, I don't care. I'm buying your lunch today. There's a lunch lady. And I got a free lunch. So you're going to get a lot of benefit if you make sure you wrap your package. You're the package. Make sure you dress it nicely. I think we have some people on this call that would agree to that. The fashion doctor. Okay. Now, here's the part of your marketing plan, though. You want to know what your quick pitch or your elevator pitch is so that it creates curiosity. And people go ahead and basically ask for more. Now, yes, you want to get their phone number, but ideally, this is that other opportunity of when you can say more, because your quick pitch may only be 1 or 2 little sentences. But the idea is that you hand out 3 of these you in the boxes a day, and you make them valuable. I'll give you the script for how it would work, but you basically, your marketing plan on this is hand out 3 a day. Even if you don't do that, if you hand it out once a week, you are separating yourself. I would almost guarantee that nobody, very few of you have actually received one of these from another human being. You will stand out. And if you want to create great results, you don't want to blend in and be boring. You want to stand out. So the purpose of this for me is that I want to set a strategy session appointment from it. So an example of what you can say is, I would love to, at absolutely no charge, to meet with you. And this is maybe the next stage of turning professional versus amateur. And when you meet somebody that you might want to talk to, set this appointment. This is the script. I would love, at absolutely no charge, to meet with you. It's another way of saying, typically I charge a lot of money to meet with people. It's another way of saying that, especially if you've wrapped your package, you have a product that you can now give away of value. And, I like to get permission to send them cool stuff, like to get them to opt in so I can send them other value-added things. Totally up to you. You can also get a referral request. You don't have to do all of these things, but this is the sequence, okay? Wrap your package, get out there, know what to say, give some of these away, try to set the appointment at no charge, get permission to, even if they don't buy, get their name, phone, email address, whatever, and then is there any possibility that you would allow me to give 3 or 4 of your friends a gift? Would you allow me to do that? This is how I build my business. So this is one of the ways that you can have a little walking, talking box that will work for you. And these are notes about the quick pitch, suggestions to introduce your you in the box. So, you go ahead and these are just some phrases. I'm not sure I can tell you what's in here. I'm not sure you can handle it. A friend of mine wrote a book on persuasion, And it's just a little tongue-in-cheek kind of fun thing to say. They're going to be like, wow, what's in this box? And you're going to say something to the effect of, I'm not sure I can tell you. I'm not sure you can handle it. The information in this is dangerous. Now, it may be way too cheesy for you. You don't want to use it. That's cool. You could use something else like, you might want to take a look at this because the tools and techniques revealed in this box deliver blah, 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 blah result. Not only will it tell you what I can do for you or anyone else, but you are in no way bound to me for anything. This box is worth a fortune. It will enable you to leverage your family, your retirement. I suggest that you watch it or listen to it. Then you hand it out to a friend. It's expensive, it's valuable, and it could change your life. Remember that if you give something to someone for nothing, you must, even it's more important to establish its value. So again, this is the context that you could potentially, if you had the courage, and I'm going to recommend each of you do, and I'm going to give you much more to help you make this happen, to put you in the box. And again, your homework is very simple. You're going to interview each other. You now have your partners. You have your homework. I'm going to make sure when we end today's call that I'll leave you guys on the line to share contact information, although you can do that on Facebook as well. And you will interview one another to just get this little, where's the guidelines on here? 7 to 9 minute interview talking about your awesomeness. By the way, I've had nothing but phenomenal feedback from people saying that even though they were a little freaked out about it at first, they loved the process and they created an amazing result. Now, the last thing, because I want to make sure we've covered this, again, I apologize because of my technical difficulties. We're going a little longer, so give me a couple more minutes. These are testimonial instructions because that's another thing that you could end up including on your audio. And I want to show you something very briefly that you can access later. All the instructions to do testimonials are right here. There's a lot of words there. You're going to have to actually read it if you want to get it, okay? Once you're the hero, I want you to read this. Once you're the hero, blah, 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 you know, you're going to it doesn't matter. I'm not going to read you that. These are the basic instructions to capture a testimonial. This is basically your script of how you're going to tell somebody else to give a cool testimonial in an audio that you can put on your branding box or attach to the audio that you'll have as your downloadable product online. Totally, totally rip-roaring awesome, and you'll give them these instructions. Now, not only did I do that, but I posted, let me show you real quickly. Let's do this. Oh, that's Dr. Oz. Oh, where is it? Excuse me, guys. What? That's not letting me get him a new one? Oh, here we are. There's Sales Mastery. If you guys all log into your back office, I posted a bonus. Hold on. No, sorry, that's Sales Mastery. If you log on to your membership site, if you log on to your membership site and you go to Q&A calls, you're going to see a bonus training. What I did is I did a testimonial training call that's right here. If you go to the testimonial training call, not only will you have the instructions on testimonial here that are all in writing, but you'll be able to listen to a testimonial training call. I have a coaching client named Wendy. She goes by Wild Wendy, and she and I actually both gave coaching consulting value to one another. So what we did is we recorded about a 30-minute call where I was capturing her testimonial. So you'll hear it being done live. And the way I tried to elicit the testimonial from her, the way she did it with me. This is a great resource and tool for you in the future because this is about client attraction. Like your testimonial gives you, look at this, if you're looking at the screen, it is irrefutable proof that you provide results for other human beings. They can't argue with another human being saying, this is the result I got. This person is awesome. I love them. You should work with them. And then I tell you not just how to do it in this handout, but I give you the training call of where I elicit it from Wendy and she elicits it from me, and then you can click on this button to hear a sample of the Wild Wendy final testimonial that I take, that 30 minutes of us talking back and forth and her getting mine and me getting hers, and then I give you a sample of it. And before we jump off the call today, this is the last thing I wanted to do. Where is it? Excuse me. I wanted to play for you that call. Hold on. Let me unmute the line here to see if I have any questions, since I can go ahead and, because this will be the last thing I'm going to do for you guys. And I apologize for going late. If it hadn't been my fault on technical difficulties, I'd have stayed on time. Any questions while I play this call for you, this testimonial? Okay, no questions. Listen to this. This is the final testimonial from Wild Wendy, and I can tell you in the future how you can figure out this editing. So if you don't want to do the editing yourself, actually you already know, Fiverr.com. And you can give them an example of what you want it to sound like. You can tell them the exact pieces and parts you want. You can have somebody edit this out for you and put it to a little music. So listen to this.
Hi, this is Wild Wendy, and I am the author of How to Create Wild Success Within Your Organization, as well as the creator of MemorableMarketingSystem.com. When I met Trevor Crane, I was pretty blown away. I started working with Trevor, and he became my coach and my business consultant, and I found that with working with...
Okay, pause. I want to point this out to you. This is totally a script and a structure, all right? Where did it go? Excuse me. Basic instructions, 10 seconds to 1 minute. If you look at this, this is a 1 minute and 17-second call if you guys are looking at the screen. So total with the music at the beginning at the end is 1 minute, 17 seconds. It's actually probably a little long. But the basic instructions for giving a good testimonial, and by the way, you guys have each other to do these amazing testimonials for one another, so there's no reason why you can't have, this is a bonus. For any of you who want to reach out and actually record an amazing testimonial with one another, you can now do it. You have the technical resources to do it. You can call in, record that sucker live, and you can be all set to go. Now, it is using my name as a result of blah, blah, blah. I now have or make or blah, blah, blah. So this, remember, Wendy just said, working with Trevor Crane. And Wendy wanted to brand herself a little bit. She said, my name is Wild Wendy. I'm the creator of this and the author of that. All very cool stuff. You can go back and you can listen to it again.
Him and coaching with him in a very short period of time. Hi, this is Wild Wendy, and I am the author of How to Create Wild Success Within Your Organization, as well as the creator of MemorableMarketingSystem.com. When I met Trevor Crane, I was pretty blown away. I started working with Trevor, and he became my coach and my business consultant. And I found that with working with him and coaching with him in a very short period of time, he gave me some strategies and tools that I was able to immediately implement. And I made 2 sales straight away, and each sale was worth at least $3,000 to me. Plus, he gave me some awesome tips on how to follow up. And I closed 100% of the appointments, and this happened so quickly, I'm blown away. It's been worth at least $100,000 to my business over the next year. I was skeptical. I didn't know what to think at first, but Trevor came through. He's been awesome. So if you have the opportunity to work with Trevor Crane or his wife, Robin Crane, do it. Do it straight away. Do not wait. Again, this is Wild Wendy. Thank you so much for helping me with my memorable marketing system.
And I could go on and on. I actually posted 4 or 5 other testimonials. You can see here from 46 seconds to 1 minute and 17. So it's a fabulous tool that you can use, and I'm giving you the chunk of where you can use it. Your You in the Box audio recording interview can be used in the actual CD box that you've got here in a jewel case like that. It can be used on a hotline that you can share with people. I can share with you how you can use that in the future. So you can just give people a phone number, say, listen to this. And that's also a free service to have a free hotline that can go ahead and speed dial that for somebody. I can also share with you how you can use that on your website as a free product download, either your audio or, like we talked about, transcribing it and being used. So with that said, we are at the end of our call. The homework is pretty clear. I want to make sure your next steps are just to meet with one another and record these sessions. Record this. If you want to get the bonus and do a testimonial for one another, the instructions are here. Again, where did I put it? Got all these. Here we go. You can listen to the Wild Wendy testimonial. You can listen to the training call that goes into more detail about testimonials so that you can hear it actually being done as well as read it here. But it's so simple. I mean, I may have overcomplicated it by giving you too much stuff. But look, basic instructions right here about how to get it to someone. Let me point out, let me see anything else here. Notice that Wendy gave statistics or proof, like she gave a specific number or result. She said 2 sales. Those 2 sales were worth $3,000 a piece to her. That's a pretty valuable testimonial. She said already she's received enough value from me to increase her business $100,000 this next year. She said she's been working with me for a month. So I had to help her with that, by the way. That wasn't the first testimonial she gave. It was after about 20, 30 minutes of us talking that I finally got her to just rip that and feel very authentic. Okay, I want to make sure we jump off the line here. I've been asked to keep this very brief and make sure we're always at 90 minutes, and I blew it by going too long here because of my technical challenges. So I apologize. But any last questions before I turn it over to you guys to connect with one another and schedule appointments? Anything else?
We just have to go and try all this stuff.
No, thank you. A lot of good information.
So I have a question. Is tomorrow's interview, and we need time to prepare the questions before we talk to our partner, right?
Yes. Your homework is to look at page 12 or 13, whatever it was. Maybe it's page 13 and 14. 12, 13, and 14 actually give you the instructions or whatever, between 11 and 14. I apologize. Or write your own questions. I gave them here. Just use these. And every one of you is eloquent enough to be able to rip this right now. In fact, if we had more time, I would just go ahead and do it with one of you live, and you'd see how flippin' easy this is. I'm telling you want to prepare so you don't freak out. But honestly, I could do this with any one of you right now, and you basically have it done. You can make it better later. I'm not saying that, but you could just basically rip it using these questions. And any one of you could be the interviewer or the interviewee, I basically promise you. I don't want to take the time to do that now because it's too long on our call, but yes, prepare the call, prepare the questions, email them to your buddy, schedule the time that you're going to record this, take no more than 10 minutes each, and you're done.
Perfect.
Anybody else?
Robin, you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. Well, you and I already connected through Facebook. So, is 2:00 okay?
Yeah. Will that give you enough time to prepare your questions?